Hey guys, this is Ruben Greth. I'm a results leader. Excited to be here.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
You are listening to ResultsLeader.fm, but you already knew that because you heard the intro. Welcome back. Glad that you guys are here. And I've got another amazing interview with a guy in real estate. He's doing big multifamily deals, multifamily syndication deals. He's raising capital like crazy. And while all that is interesting, my favorite part of today's interview is when he starts talking about inner game, what it takes to turn your ideas into your reality. That part of this conversation is priceless, and I don't want you to wait another second. Let's jump in with Mr. Ruben Greth. Ruben, what's happening, brother? Welcome to the show.
What's up, brother, man? Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Excited.
Me too. So first question is a softball. What book or books have you given most as a gift?
As a gift, there's a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. That's probably the one that I've given most, which hasn't been that many, but.
How did you hear about that book?
I'm not sure. I think it might have been through Bob Proctor. So I studied a lot of personal development, and he likes to talk about peak performance and creating the best version of yourself. And part of that, like even according to Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, chapter 4 is about autosuggestion. So I knew that if I could master how to drive thoughts into my subconscious and get past the conscious gatekeeper, the one that prevents you from believing the things that are possible, that I could probably manifest things into my life. So I studied about subconscious, and Joseph Murphy was one of the forefront runners in that category, even though his book's a little older. So I like that book, and I think I've given it more than any other book.
Awesome, man. And I'm a fan of Bob Proctor. So let's move on to failure.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, how has an apparent failure set you up for later success?
There's a lot of different directions I could go. I've experienced lots of failures. You know, I think the one that really changed the trajectory of my life the most, though, was my falling out with my original first multifamily business partner. I think there was a lot of ways that relationship could have been saved. But for a long time, I had this limiting belief that it was very challenging to find a new partner. Right. So now I have a show on raising capital, and I interview syndicators all over the country. And I realize now that multifamily investors are actually very readily available. They may not be in your same market, but they are all over the country. So I think that one really established the need for understanding that having a partner is one of the most powerful things that you can do, especially in the multifamily space, because it really is a team sport. So now I'm associated with a new company. We got 6 or 7 partners, plus a couple of co-GPs, and we take down large properties together. And I could have never have done that had I not opened my mind to the concept that relationships with partners in the multifamily space are really good for you. And it's almost impossible to scale in real estate at that level without a lot of partners.
No kidding, man. That's a huge realization. Awesome. So let's talk about investments.
Cool.
What would you say is the most worthwhile investment you have ever made?
The one that I have personally invested in, let's see, certainly wasn't the gold mining operation. I'd probably say my very first multifamily deal where I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that multifamily was kind of cool. It was a 3-unit property in a bad neighborhood in Phoenix, but it cash flowed ridiculously. It appreciated ridiculously. And it really opened my mind to a lot of the landlording concepts that, that's not a passive investment when you're landlording. And, I had a lot of issues that I found, like some plumbing issues where I had to dig up the drain and the 2 tubes were not connected. And, they were wrapped with a sock trying to send plumbing through. So I think my very first multifamily investment was very powerful, not only in terms of appreciation, but in terms of learning lessons. So I'd say that very first one.
So you said something interesting, and I happen to be a landlord, so I get this, but there is this, I don't know, is it a fantasy or a dream out there that real estate investing, in particular, investing in rentals, is passive income? And you said it's not passive. Why? Why is it not passive?
Well, it could be passive if it's some type of a syndication, but as soon as you are in charge of doing some ongoing duty, that's actually a security, assuming there's more than one investor in it. But a lot of people have this misconception that, hey, I'll just buy a rental property so that I can get that cash flow. And the word cash flow represents this concept of I don't have to do anything except collect it. But when you're actually in there dealing with tenants, trying to deal with all of the toilet issues, you realize very quickly that it's not a passive investment at all. That's what I got to say about that.
I have to laugh. You say toilet issues, and I was messing with a lift station the other day and telling my son, hey, this poop gets you paid, kid. Learn a lesson.
That's awesome.
So in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I think thought leadership as a habit, as a platform, studying with the best or learning from the best people in the specific niche that I'm interested in, which is capital raising, has been very powerful. It's created a lot of great connections, a lot of learning experiences, more so than I think I could have gotten from just being a person out in the field. So all of those interviews and coming from a place of humility, saying, I don't really know everything there is to this. Let me learn from the best. And I'll just share that information with everybody that's interested in. Has really been powerful.
So I have to now challenge what you said for some clarification, because it's actually in our tagline, thought leadership is easy. So what do you mean by thought leadership?
So thought leadership, I'm talking about interview-based thought leadership. And what I'm talking about is starting a platform, right? So back in the day, I created a YouTube channel where I just filmed an investor around at his properties, and we discussed how he would acquire them, how he would raise the capital for them, what he was going to do to finance them, what he was going to do to put them back on the market, tenant occupy them, and then do it in a very quick and aggressive fashion. Later on, most recently, like you asked about 5 years ago, I was looking to get into multifamily syndication, which is a team sport. And I wanted to find out who I needed to have on my team. So I interviewed a local syndicator, told him I had some experience in social media, raising capital, brand awareness, that type of thing. And they said, why don't you just join us? So the first thing that I did was created a show. I was like, well, I've done a YouTube platform. Everybody's talking about podcasts is where it's at today. So some people are like, oh, well, how can I possibly in this sea of podcasters stand out? Well, it's actually not too complicated. Just have high energy. At least this is what I consider to be the important factors. Have high energy and interview place, come from a place of humility, and then learn with other people and share that information with your audience. And that, to me, is thought leadership. Not necessarily thought leadership because you're creating the thoughts, but thought leadership because you have developed a platform where other people can share information, which gets them recognition, but also gives you the ability to learn from them.
Yeah. So it's really about the platform and then sharing that platform. I understand now. So what are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
Well, if we're talking about thought leadership, a lot of people think that you're going to get started and all of a sudden create, whether it's capital or passive investors, or get a lot of traction or visibility or notoriety very quickly. And people find out very fast that that's not true at all. It's very much like the analogy I use is the Chinese bamboo tree. So you have this seed and you water it and you give it nutrients for 5 years and it never breaks the surface of the ground. And then in 5 years, after it's developed a nice root system, it just grows to 60, 80 feet in a matter of about 5 weeks. I think podcasting and real estate investing is very similar, where you're putting in all this work and you're not seeing any results. Very much like a plane that burns the majority of its fuel on liftoff and then coasts with very little fuel burning in the air, or even a rocket ship has the same kind of analogy. Podcasting and real estate investing is like that too, where you just have to put in tons and tons of work, in some cases without getting paid. And then later on, you get to reap the rewards from all the efforts that you've sowed.
As long as you hang in there, right?
As long as you hang in there and as long as you provide good content.
Cool, man. So now we're going to talk about what everybody's here for. We're going to talk about results. We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a public service announcement. We're going to get right back into this show, but I wanted to ask you a question. If you have been listening to the show for any amount of time and you've picked up even one single tip, then I need your help. Get the word out. Tell people about resultsleader.fm. Share it on social media. Share it on your email. Share it anywhere. Hashtag resultsleaderfm. Now let's jump back into the interview. And I want to know, Ruben, in your opinion, why do results matter?
That could go a lot of directions in itself. Results. So number one, I think fulfillment is a big part of it, because like for some people that have money or have developed money, if they're not doing something with their time or don't have future goals, they get burned out or get bored, or even in some cases get very depressed because they're not living a life of fulfillment, a life of sharing, whether that means creating generational wealth for people or even for your own family. If you're just sitting on a beach, assuming that you've made it that far, you can get very unfulfilled if you have nothing to look forward to.
Yeah, man. So let's think back again. In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your team, for your partners, for the people around you?
Everything that has to do with capital raising, right? So I knew capital raising from the joint venture perspective, from the, hey, let's go grab one partner and take down a deal. I did not know in the world of multifamily syndication, which is where I now live, what it looked like to raise capital. And even after I learned the first method, which was nurturing limited partners and taking them through this path to investing with you, which is a long process, by the way. It's not something where you take them and get their $50,000 check in one phone call. It's a very long process, but that there's all these other methods for raising capital too, which have really opened my eyes. There's fund creation, there's preferred equity, there's even at a large scale joint ventures, there's co-GP, which is partnership with other people that have databases of investors. There's money from broker dealers, from institutions, from family offices. So this entire world of different styles of capital raising has really made me understand and see that you don't have to skin the cat just one way. There's a variety of different methods.
Yeah, man. What area of your business would you like better results?
Always capital raising. Like I can raise $10 million and still not be satisfied. If I get to $100 million, I'll probably still not be satisfied. So I will always, for whatever reason, I'm very passionate about it, whether it's like geeking out on securities laws and doing things correctly or sharing that information with people. I will always want to improve my capacity to raise capital. And there's always going to be like, if you're on a yacht and you pull into the harbor, there's always going to be a dude with a bigger yacht in that marina, that you can look up to and say, well, why is that guy on a $10 million yacht and I'm on a $1 million yacht? And what else can I do to impact the world in such a way so that I can be on that $10 million yacht instead of this little one, which most people just can only dream about being on?
Cool, man. So what results are you most proud of?
Can we go down a spiritual direction with this?
I prefer it.
Yeah, man. So the ability and capacity to manifest, I'm not sure how many of the audience will resonate with this, but the capacity to use your mind through meditation and through power of subconscious and by surrounding yourself and taking action, of course. But the ability to create things from just a thought, I think, is so powerful. And a lot of people don't even believe in it. So just the fact that somebody can believe in that and then create results, like I manifested my wife, I've created money, I've created partnerships, I've created safe passage through foreign countries. I've done all this through following my gut and being a good person, which a lot of people think just means going to reconciliation and getting forgiven. But I believe it's living a certain way where you're trying to be in alignment with your version of source energy or your God, whatever that may look like, whether it's Jesus Christ or Buddha. If you do things in a certain way and follow a very basic rule called the golden rule, which is treat others the way that you want to be treated, you can align in such a way so that you are able to attract things into your life. Obviously, you have to take action. The law of attraction and The Secret doesn't really talk about all the things that you have to do, but part of it is the mindset and driving those thoughts into your subconscious, and then having a belief in faith and operating a certain way in your daily life so that you can attract and resonate with the energy that allows you to manifest things into your life. That stuff I am absolutely proud of, because the majority of the population doesn't even believe that that exists.
Powerful. Reminds me, who was it? I think I heard it first from Earl Nightingale. What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And so that's what I hear you saying right now. So amazing, man. Thank you so much. Any parting thoughts before we wrap up today?
Well, just go do it. Like, I think a lot of people get stuck in paralysis, right? So they see options, they see opportunities. Even myself, like as I'm scaling, I'm looking at other opportunities and I see myself being fearful, and I know that that's not the way, right? So break through your limiting beliefs, whether that's by getting a coach or even just studying with people that write about it, because you can get a lot just from reading a few books, especially if they're talking about this particular concept, which is, I think Abraham Maslow talks about, self-realization and becoming the best version of yourself, and how do you do it? So studying those types of books that help you get past all of the limiting beliefs, and then addressing and acknowledging and understanding that you have them and identifying them, are huge things that I think pretty much everybody can address and look into, no matter what stage at their life they're in, right? So whether you've already accomplished all kinds of things in your life or you're just getting started, understand that through mentorship or through self-study, if you're disciplined enough, you can begin to acquire all kinds of things into your life, but it does require some work. So
Gotta do the work. Gotta do the work. I love it. So we are obviously going to share links on the show notes, but after hearing you, I know our listeners will want to hear more. Where can they go to get more from you?
They can go to capitalraisershow.com. They can find me on all social medias, Ruben Greth, or you can go to check out our company, Bakerson, if you're interested in multifamily investing at a large scale.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruben, for being on the show. Thank you, our dear listeners, for tuning in for another episode, and we will be back in your earbuds next time. That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This is the podcastfactory.com.